was interesting working with the Barkays and actually going back and listening to the track, the notes that I had written, because I was influenced by a lot of different people at that point. One of the biggest influences was Tom Bell, a producer from Philadelphia that had big hits from from the OJs and from the Stylistics and the Spinners back in the 70s. A lot of big hits, and I just loved his arrangements. And it's well, when you live in Memphis, you don't not write R&B. It's just in your blood. It just kind of seeps into it after a while. So I got a lot of the influence from Memphis and from Steve Cropper and from the soul acts on which he'd worked and things like that. The uh, the Barkays were camped out in the A studio at Ardent, and unlike Big Star, who kind of shared that studio with them, they all the guys in the band played on the records. Um, except for they had a couple of horn players, and they did use them sometimes on the records, but not for these more disco-oriented type records. Uh, the bass synthesizer, which is so much fun on it, was played by Winston Stewart, who was the keyboardist in the band, who was a great keyboard player. They were all black, and they called me. They asked me to write some arrangements for them, and they were already selling gold records at the time. Later on, platinum. But I ended up splitting the duties on the first record that they asked me to write on with Paul Reiser, the great Motown arranger, and evidently the Barkays liked what I did, and it was very much in vogue in that era for black acts, funk acts, to put big orchestras on their records, like Earth, Wind and Fire and the groups like that. So they would send me to New York, to the hottest studio in New York, the Power Station at the time, and I would work with these amazing players. I mean, some of the best brass players in the world, some of the best string players in the world, and I went up there for the Barkays. I can't remember how many times I went up there, but this was one of the first tracks that we did in New York, and when I came back, I was well, actually, when I went back to listen to it, I was delighted to have heard what I wrote, because I didn't remember the specifics of it, and I said, "Oh, I like that. It's pretty good. It's a lot of fun."